On a warm day in June, I took the train to downtown Pomona and it dropped me off on First Street. I walked down a block to where the Pomona Art Walk was being held, and I passed a captivating sight that caught my attention. While I was at the art walk, I heard drums and the sound of music coming from the auditorium as students from the School of Arts warm up in anticipation for their performance. The warm smell of the fresh baked pastries wafting from the cafe mixed in with the sweet smell of the fresh blossoming magnolia trees. The feeling of the cool water as people soak their feet in the shallow pool of the interactive water feature. I was led to an open court where I asked a performer after he finished his dance to tell me more about this place and the festivities. He told me that the place we were standing was called The Gathering and that people are gathered here today to celebrate Juneteenth.
He then invited me for a cup of coffee at the Lounge of Freedom, where I heard the most beautiful and passionate poetry. As I listened, I was curious to learn more and began to ask him questions. He stood up and walked me over to the Vessel of Knowledge, where I saw a book that had a bird symbol on it, and the title is Sankofa. When I opened the book, the first thing I read was, "It's not taboo to fetch what it is at risk of being left behind." As I stepped out, I heard a powerful voice coming from the lotus-shaped building. Looking through the glass, I saw a crowd of people listening to a man telling a story about freedom and the meaning of Juneteenth. It made me feel empowered and excited to hear more.
The next morning, I returned to that place. Without the music from before, I could hear birds and trickling water. This time, my path took me to the museum. As I passed through the front door, the environment quickly fell silent. The inside was calm and dark, with deliberate lights cut in the ceiling. I could only follow the path they illuminated. I eventually arrived at some stairs which led up to a glass hallway filled with statues that pushed away the darkness. They were watching over me protectively. Then I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was the dancer from the night before. Smiling softly, he took my hand and began to guide me through the remainder of the museum.
As we walked down the ramp, I smelled an aroma coming from the intriguing garden on the left. I saw a beam of light shining down on a plaque that spoke about African plants. I walked along the pathway that led me through and around mounds that had a stream of water running through them. It felt as if I was going on a journey. The dancer showed me a pond full of ducks swimming, and we sat on a deck overlooking the wildlife. We then continued walking and stumbled upon a hidden garden that had a big acacia tree in the middle. I sat in the garden, took a few long, deep breaths, and felt at ease. As I turned to look for the dancer, he was nowhere to be found. It was as if he was a guiding spirit sent from our ancestors.